tonight we're going to kind of stick with what's in the news and what's been happening in the past week. So let's pop into our news of the week for August 28th, 2023. Kicking it off, going back the full week to the very beginning at Gamescom, we were announced new Xbox console wraps. I don't know if anyone's seen these guys yet. They kind of look like the DM screens that you can buy off Amazon. You can easily just slip a piece of paper. It looks like the cover of a Trapper Keeper wrapped around an Xbox. Here's the thing. The wraps were designed specifically, this is quoted from Xbox's site. The wraps were designed specifically for Series X and have a custom precision fit. Every detail was taken in consideration to ensure the console performance is preserved. Vents are clear, and small feet were added to the bottom of the wraps to ensure air can flow freely through the console. That all kind of makes sense. Made with solid core panels that are layered with high-tech fabric finishes. I'm curious. I feel like this is going to feel like cheap vinyl. The wraps are folded around your console, secured with a hook and loop enclosure. The interior of the wraps are printed with silicone divides that keep the wrap in place. I mean, look, I will say this. It's nice to be able to custom option, especially with how huge these things are. Both the Xbox and PS5 are too fucking big for an adult's media console. So being able to actually maybe fix the look up so it doesn't feel like a dorm room is not a bad idea. The main one, of course, they're launching with is the Starfield option. It's kind of a white with a sort of very old school 1970s Mars rover sort of vibe to it. And then are the camo options. Guys, what are these? Let's fix that on it. What are these camo options? Right, they look like the kind of pants I'd see in a hip hop video in the early 2000s. Right, they say wrap your console in our signature Xbox design, woodland camo inspired pattern. Why are we still doing camo as a base design for this? Choose between Arctic camo gray and white. Choose between the Arctic camo gray and white color palette for a neutral and quiet effect. Right, because nothing quite fits into your living room like snow camo. Right, just because it's camo doesn't mean it's well hidden. Neutral and quiet. For where? Or, here's the other one, make a bold statement with a bright mineral camo of modern blues and purples. First of all, let's not ignore that, Henry Casey, you're absolutely right. The fact that Call of Duty is a fucking monolith in this industry right now is why they're doing that. And sure, if you keep this thing in your own room, wherever you're swigging Zimas and Miller High Lifes, fine. But let's not act like this is something we're all clamoring for. And even then, at least do like urban camo and woodland camo. Camo actually used. Why the fuck are we doing blue and purple camo? Right? It makes the kind of statement that says, I still think Shadow the Hedgehog is edgy. Right? Like this is, it feels like the best of deviant art. I know it's a Sony game thing and not a Microsoft thing, but I would kill for MGS cardboard. God, yes. That I love. A Metal Gear Solid cardboard box, 1000%. I mean, fuck it. Honestly, I would kill for something as simple as like the IKEA paneling on their fake wood, right? Because at least then it would fit into my living room. At least then it wouldn't stand out like an eyesore. Something in that kind of what IKEA calls dark brown, but is really just black, like perfect, right there. That nice sort of fake wood sheen texture to it, latched on the sides. I'll be curious to see what these things look like in person. I have not seen these myself yet, but they are interesting to say the least. Next up, Charles Martinet stepping back from voicing Mario. This is kind of a kick in the gut. Say Charles Martinet has been the original voice of Mario in Nintendo games for as long time as far back as Super Mario 64. Technically earlier, I think he was like voicing like Mario Teaches Typing or something like that was the first time. But yeah, like going way, way back. Charles is now moving into the brand new role of Mario Ambassador, With his transition, he'll be stepping back from recording character voices for our games, but he'll continue to travel the world sharing the joy of Mario and interacting with you all. It has been an honor working with Charles to help bring Mario to life for so many years, and we want to thank and celebrate him. Please keep an eye out for a special video message from Shigeru Miyamoto and Charles himself, which we'll post on a future date. This is crazy because Charles Martinet has basically voiced every Mario-esque character, right? Mario, Luigi, Waluigi, Wario. They always list Baby Mario, Metal Mario, Shadow Mario as like separate characters. It's the same fucking character. Nonetheless, yes, Charles Martinet has been the iconic voice of Mario, and it's sad to see him go, but it's kind of nice that it feels like it's on their own terms, right? Charles didn't pass away. He's been doing this for a while, and if all he wants to do now is go wahoo at conventions, and great. You ever see an interview with him he basically runs through every line of dialogue he's ever done in like 5 seconds every time they introduce him. So if he's going to keep that going, fine. The man is a shining bright spot in our lives, and more power to him. I'll also say, and I'm probably in the minority here, but with the release of the movie and official changes to things like Donkey Kong's look and the Mario lore, I would not be mad if the do voices moved away from Italian stereotype and further back into New York, Brooklyn stereotype, right? I'm not saying we do a Chris Pratt, but maybe like a Bob Hoskins would be fantastic. And I'd be 1000% for that. That would make me pretty happy. Next up, big class action lawsuit coming at Roblox. I hate discussing Roblox. I think it's a trash game, but it's absolutely in the news here. Bloomberg Law reports a class action lawsuit stating Roblox is profiting from and helping to power third-party websites that use the platform's Robux currency for unregulated gambling activities. Allegedly, they are working with and facilitating the gambling website defendants to offer illegal gambling opportunities to minor users. Holy shit. First, there's probably a lot more detail I can go into here, but I'm not going to go into depth because, I'm rephrasing most of this from Ars Technica article that in turn discusses a Bloomberg Law article, so I'd suggest you start searching there to really get the information. B, this knowledge is way out of my depth. And C, once again, I could not give a fuck about Roblox. But I feel like more and more companies are popping up with the express interest of skirting the laws when it comes to the metaverse, right? There's always someone trying to get in this new ground, even though the metaverse isn't really a thing yet. Personally, at this point, Fortnite has won the metaverse battle. Everyone else should take a step back. But like Roblox is big. It's huge. And it's huge with kids. Here's the main takeaway from all this. Free games aren't free. You don't want your kid to lose their allowance on a skin that makes them look like Bluey riding Ghost Rider's motorcycle through a park. Then pay nearly $60 for a subpar AAA game like the rest of us. In the end, it's still cheaper than the Robux economy you get for these poorly designed Five Nights at Freddy's knockoffs that people make in their spare time. It's the same thing with mobile games. These things nickel and dime you. I know it sounds nice because they're free, but it's just not worth it, people. There are better games. Just pay more up front. That's the main difference. That's a tirade for another time. We're going to keep going. Overwatch 2 director responds to Steam review bombing. Where we got? According to a tweet from, I think it was the director who go ahead and put this out there, basically responding to the review bombs that are happening on Overwatch 2. All right, step back. People are upset that Overwatch 2 didn't release with the PvE story component that they had initially promised. It was a big selling point there. Furthermore, I think people are pissed off that Overwatch 2 feels more or less like the same game. I know they changed the number of teammates in and around, but in general, it feels like the same. So the director responds to the Steam review bombing. He says, "We also launched on Steam last week, and although being review bombed isn't a fun experience, it's been great to see lots of new players jump into Overwatch 2 for the first time. I'm sure it is. You let us know when that actually starts happening. Our goal with Overwatch 2 has been to make the game more accessible than ever for more people than ever before." No, it's not. Your whole mission was to resell the same game and suck all the fun out of it from the launch version by keeping the focus on the esports character meta instead of jumping in and having a good time. Like, new people can't get into Overwatch because they get yelled at by all the experts that are on there. The communities can become toxic because you guys focus so much on the idea of what is the most optimum way to win a match and not about how can we have the most fun. A few bad eggs spoiled the bunch is kind of what happens here. It's funny. It's almost literally the opposite of the issue with Mario Kart, where they refuse to release a new game and they just keep reiterating on the same thing because people haven't stopped buying it. I feel like you had a good thing with Overwatch with the first one, and instead you kind of shit the bed, and now Overwatch is not really in the conversation anymore. Never mind the fact that Blizzard is kind of a shithole already, but like it seems like there's problems there. On that note, by the way, fuck Bobby Kotick. It's not related to the story in any way, but fuck Bobby Kotick. Here we go. Starfield leaker arrested for theft of the game. This one's crazy. 29-year-old Darren Harris was arrested on various charges for the theft of the unreleased Starfield game. Not only that, he stole, I forget how many copies now, he stole multiple copies and attempted to sell them and continued to post and talk about how he's selling them. First of all, guy, just fucking wait. The game came out in nearly 3 weeks, like less now. There's early access. Posting $10,000 in bail is not worth it. And then you're going to go ahead and upload a video of you praising Todd Howard for how good the game is after you stole the game, stole copies of this game, and proceeded to sell them for your own benefit? Come on. On a side note also, like, this is how shitty the gaming community can be sometimes. Instead of admonishing him for the actual illegal activity he did, people looked at his video and complained about how bad he was at playing the game. It's a real, like, see the forest through the trees moment kind of, guys. It's kind of nuts. I don't know what's going on with people here. On that note, the Starfield community is getting pissed. I say Starfield community. It's not a community yet. It hasn't really happened yet. But Starfield fans are losing their shit right now because apparently there are invisible walls that are barriers after you land on a random part of the planet in the game. See, what happens is, because they can't just design giant planets everywhere, you have your succinct story locations, but you could also land anywhere you want on the planet. When you do, it procedurally generates an area for you to explore. People are annoyed that if you walk to the end of that area, there's an invisible barrier that won't let you go any further. People are upset that it's a normal fucking game. Like, of course, they're not going to just design huge worlds. Like, not only is that really hard to do, especially with how in-depth a Bethesda game can be, but it'd be boring as shit. Most of these planets are going to be designed to be just empty. You really just want to walk for 3 days, real days, in a virtual space? I don't even like walking across the street to the bodega if I don't have to. Like, that doesn't sound like fun. Also, on top of that, apparently it takes 40 minutes to go from end to end in these procedurally generated areas. Fallout 3, I think, I looked this up, took about 35 minutes to go from end to end. That the entire game. Call a win a win, please. It's madness. We're gonna keep moving on because Starfield's gonna be in the news for a while after this. More sad stuff. I'm going to be railing a lot here today, guys. I looked at a lot of stuff from Gamescom and I got worked up. But this is one of those ones that hits a little close to home. BioWare hit with massive layoffs. That's real sad. You hate to see that. BioWare announced that they are eliminating approximately 50 roles in order to make BioWare a, quote, more agile and focused studio. Oh, geez. Okay, I am not ever going to claim to be an expert on business, right? This is a crock of shit. BioWare can't afford to be light on its feet. Like, it's the same company behind the epic games like Mass Effect and Dragon's Age, both of which currently have games in development. You need to be light and agile. Were these 50 people not doing anything before? Where does their work go in trying to make games that have to top the beloved Homer's Odyssey like epic of their previous versions? Look, the way I see it, I feel like there are only two real reasons a company lays people off. One, redundancy, right? After two companies merge, you have two IT teams, two legal teams, right? I call bullshit on that because if there's enough work when they were singular companies, laying off half the team just creates twice as much work for the other team. So, not great. Or the other option is mismanagement. Because instead of firing the people who made the poor decisions and got you in the mess where you're not making the money you should be, you decide to sacrifice the working class. Meanwhile, the bosses are still making, high six-figure incomes that often equal 10 other salaries. So, yeah, the idea that a layoff in any form is a necessary evil is bullshit. It's bullshit that's perpetuating a constant disease. Either way, BioWare letting people go with two very big projects on the horizon, even if it's on the very, very far horizon, does not bode very well for the studio. Right now, fans are really thinking that these mystery games that were announced to be in development are either not going to see the light of day or are going to really fall flat in a Mass Effect Andromeda sort of fashion. More stuff. We had Sony revealing the $200 PlayStation Portal. I don't know if anyone saw this thing. It looks like a tiny iPad that split a PlayStation controller down the middle like a blasphemous execution. It looks a little clunky, but cool. Here we go. After a May tease for the PlayStation Q, Sony today officially unveiled, this was during Gamescom, officially unveiled the PlayStation Portal, a $200 handheld gaming device that it says will be launching later this year. Cool in theory. Henry Case says, a Wii U controller, with a PS5 skin. Yeah, 1,000% it. And you're getting into the exact crux of the problem, right? Because this thing can only play off of the PS5 on your network. It's $200 to do the exact same thing as buying a $99 backbone for your iPhone or Android phone and connecting over Wi-Fi that way does. Why am I going to spend twice as much on the Sony branded bullshit if I could just do that? I mean, hell, right now I have it set up that my Steam Deck can connect to the PlayStation and play the exact same way. And then I can still take it on the go and play Steam games later. And even I mean, yes, it's more expensive, but it's more worth the money. I don't know, $200 for what is a clunky looking iPad controller. Like I don't see the advantage. Now, if Sony could really set things up with cloud gaming, that'd be different. It's one of the few things I think Microsoft has above Sony, because right now, otherwise, Microsoft's getting creamed. But Sony, I'm not sure if you think this is not even for the people who want to play while someone else is using the TV. This is people who want to play while someone's using the TV and don't realize other options exist. So you even partnered with Backbone to have a limited edition PS5 version. Like, come on. Come on. For a bigger screen, that's all we're really getting out of this? No. I don't see this thing performing very well at all. You know what I do see performing well? You know what I do see performing well, and I'm very excited for? Atari launches the replica 2600 console. I don't know if anyone saw this. I love this thing. According to the Atari website, as it reads here, Enrique says, but yeah, an iPad mini with a controller is a smarter play. 1,000%. 1,000%. Just because you get more bang for your buck in the same thing. Chances are you can play the PS5 on hand wherever you are with a device you already own. So save yourself the trouble. Because everyone has a smartphone. It's not like these are for people who don't have smartphones, but have a PS5. All right, back to it. Atari launches replica 2600 console. According to the site, enjoy your favorite Atari 2600 and 7800 games in one system. Not only does the Atari 2600 Plus pull double cartridge duty, it also features HDMI and widescreen mode for an easy connectivity to modern TVs. Jump right in with the included CX40 Plus joystick and a 10-in-1 game cartridge that features some of Atari's most famous games like Missile Command and Yar's Revenge. This is great. I am so stoked for this, right? So it's an updated version of the Atari 2600. Plays both Atari 2600 and 7800 games. HDMI output. It's got the cartridge. Best of all, it will take your old cartridges. If you have old Atari 2600 and 7800 games, you can play them on this thing. It's brilliant. Brilliant. Can we just say, with game preservation, a huge issue in the industry, a huge issue that is not being shown, that is not being paid attention to by the larger companies, and Atari does this, I am elated. I am ecstatic. Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, all you guys, take note. This is how you do game preservation and still make money. Right? There will always be people who are out there who are going to steal ROMs, but at least then, when you shut down these websites, when you shut down these various projects, you have a leg to fucking stand on. What is it? I think I'm going off the cuff here right now, but I think the study that was done said 87% of games are not preserved. There are no way to currently play them. Nintendo, you don't want people to go ROMs, but you're not going to make these things available. You could come out with a Super Nintendo like this, a working HDMI-based Super Nintendo, let people use their old cartridges, and then resell some of these cartridges as multi-packs or however. That's money off of your old library in a way that you're just not right now. Because people will gladly pay for this shit. People pirate and do ROMs and emulators not because they want to, because they have to. I mean, plenty want to, but most people have to. And with how insanely expensive the actual game collecting market is right now, because a couple jackasses went ahead, that was a good idea to jack up the prices, and now nobody can buy old games anymore. Like, this could solve so much. And so I thank you, Atari, for getting on this fully deserved, fully wonderful. Also fun news, Elon Musk booed at a Valorant event. I think I made a joke about this earlier, maybe not. This was great during last night's grand finals match between Canadian team Evil Geniuses, how delusionally appropriate. And Singapore's paper Rex, the feed cut to Elon Musk in the crowd, where the fans went on to recognize and then boo the rat-faced mogul. That's not a quote, that's my own editorializing. Before chants of bring back Twitter began. Good on the crowd, guys. Say what you will about gaming fans, but when they boo you, you know you fucked up. These are the same people I've seen once cheer on a Diablo mobile game. Like, you go to a Gamescom or an E3, gamers will cheer on anything like sheep. So yes, Elon Musk, you suck. You are the Blizzard of human beings. Another big one here. Nintendo Switch surpassed Wii in total sales in the US. Think about that. The Wii, I believe, did over 100 million. I have it right here. Yeah, the Wii did over 100 million units worldwide. It is one of the best-selling consoles of all time. And it got there in about a decade of its lifespan. The Switch surpassed its U.S. market in 6 years. Nearly half the time the Wii had, the Switch beat it out. That's huge. If there was ever a sign that Nintendo's not coming out with a new Switch anytime soon, that is it. This thing is still selling like hotcakes. And best of all, it's one of the few things that has maintained availability. Yes, PlayStation and Microsoft, I'm looking at you. This is one of the few things that people have been able to get. I was able to get it at launch day, and not by pre-ordering it, by just showing up to a GameStop. Like Nintendo is onto something. They're not doing anything right by game preservation, but they're doing shit right here. Last bit of news, we're going on, I guess, on a slightly downer. I don't know if it's a downer or not, to be honest here. But another Rockstar Games vet is leaving Rockstar Games. Senior writer Michael Unsworth is leaving Rockstar Games after 16 years working on the likes of Red Dead Redemption 2 and Grand Theft Auto 5. He joins an ever-growing list of veteran Rockstar employees who have left in the last few years, and I believe the other ones were also parts of the creative and writing team. This comes on the heels of the release of the next Grand Theft Auto game. There's a lot to fear on this right now, and I get it because Rockstar games have been pretty good, and their stories have been pretty good. So I understand maybe not wanting to see that boat get rocked, so to speak. But honestly, I don't know if this is a bad thing. Right, the writers get to try to do something new and move on to maybe some different other projects. And Rockstar Games can bring on some new writers that maybe could have some more of an updated take on the Rockstar stories. See, I don't really look at Rockstar as like the most progressive storytellers. I think they've kind of lived, even as good as like Red Dead Redemption 2 and stuff is, they sort of lived on this edgelord, be the bad guy, morally wrong, dark and seedy style gameplay that GTA had, picked up since GTA 3. And as time goes on, those games haven't aged too well. That's just kind of the problem we're running into right now. So I'm thinking here that maybe it's a little good to bring in some new blood that can bring in a little nuance to, or at least a different style to be the bad guy, and maybe a lot less like, I don't know, hooker bashing. Is that safe to say? I think it's probably a good thing there. But yeah, that's our news for the week. You guys kind of ruminate on that a little bit there. I'm going to take a quick step away real fast. I'm going to refill my cup, get a little bit of break, that's the coaster coming with it, a little drink. And when I come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Opening Night Live and Gamescom and Jeff Keighley and the 5 things that maybe didn't do quite well.